This DJI Mini 3 Pro is probably the most hyped drone that has been released in the last few years. And after flying this now for about 10 weeks, I want to give you a video about my overall impressions about this drone, the pros, the cons, and would I recommend it to you guys. So if you've never flown a small drone like this before, your first impressions are going to be like, what the hell have I done? This is absolutely tiny, but fear not, this packs a lot into this small size. It's smaller than most mobile phones. It fits in your pocket. It folds up really nice and small. It is great. And compared to some of the other drones that DJI make, you can see the actual size difference. This is the DJI Air 2S, which is like the mid-range drone. And just look at the size difference. It is remarkable. So my first impressions when I got this drone and I got it opened up, I was like, this feels really plasticky. It doesn't feel as well made as the Mini 2. And that is true to a point. So it certainly feels more plasticky in the hand, maybe not as well made, but it doesn't have any impact on the performance at all. I have put this through some ridiculous conditions, some really strong winds, and it has just laughed at them and carried on. So it's like this to keep it under that crucial 250 grams with all of these features packed into it. So the features on this is the reason why for that plasticky feel, and you soon get over that plasticky feel. Massive upgrades over the Mini 2. You've now got 4K 60, you have slow-mo at 120 FPS, you have tri-directional obstacle avoidance, and you've also got focus track. Gets more, you get hyperlapse, and you also have 48 megapixel photos, you have panorama photos, you literally have every feature in here. You also have had firmware updates since it first came out as well. So when I first got this, it didn't have 10-bit color. It now does. So in D-Cine-like, you have 10-bit. Now, in the testing I was doing in Mallorca when I first got this drone, it only had normal and D-Cine-like in 8-bit. So majority of the time on that trip, I was filming just in that normal color profile. And that was great. It is a bit saturated and contrasty, but you can always turn that down in your editor program. But for the normal color profile on here, for most people who don't really know how to color grade, that is going to be good enough. But now because it has a D-Cine-like 10-bit, if you like color grading, you can use that to get the best out of this drone. In terms of the video quality, I can't really see much difference between this and the DJI Air 2S. This has more advantages to me than, say, the slight better video quality from the DJI Air 2S, because I can take this with me in places I won't be able to take the Air 2S. So if you're going to be going to beaches or cities where you can't really fly that Air 2S because of its weight, this is going to be a huge advantage of this. And the features on this bad boy are brilliant, aren't they? I mean, who doesn't like hyperlapse and focus track? You've got it all packed into here. And then if you are going to fly recklessly like I do, and quite a few of you do as well from what I've seen, the obstacle avoidance on here will have your back, and it works great. It doesn't have side sensors, we'll get on to that in a second, but it has front, backward and down position sensors. So if you're flying like a lunatic and it sees you flying like a lunatic and it's going towards something, this will stop. And then going back to, say, the Mini 2, if you still have that drone, or if you move back to that drone, you are more wary because you are in complete control there, whereas this has those safety features, and that's a great example of how it can basically save you and save your wallet. Now, a problem I was having was not relation to this drone, but more relation to, at the time, ND filters weren't available. Now, thank God, they are. So when I was in Mallorca again, a lot of those shots were at the beach or over the sea. So there was lots of glares and reflections. I also had it most of the time in that normal color profile. So I did have to do quite a bit of work in the color grading afterwards to try and bring those highlights down, try and reduce those glares, because I was literally just using this. I did try a few times just to glue like an old ND filter onto here, but it wasn't really working and I did lose a few. Thankfully not. These are now available. So these are the ND filters I use by Freewell. I've been using Freewell filters for the last few years. These are great. Brilliantly, DJI have just allowed us just to pop this filter. This lens comes straight off on the front, and then you can get your new ND filters, and then they just go and pop straight on as well. So you just put it right onto the front there and turn it, and then that is on. So that is so much easier than it was before. Quicker as well and more convenient. And these are the ones I use. So these are now on the drone all the time. So for going away in the summer, make sure you've got your ND filters, or you're going to have to do quite a lot in your color grading to bring everything down. And your shutter speed is also going to be like 4000s. It's going to look so kind of sharp and not really natural. Now with these bad boys on, I can go as fast as I want, get some nice motion blur, stick to the 180-degree shutter rule, and not have as many glares and reflections. So ND filters on here, it's not a problem for this drone, but now they're available, it's even better. So the RC controller, I got this package here, so the baller edition, all right? So the controller and this is the RC package. It's not the cheapest one, it's not the middle range one, it's the most expensive way of getting this. I know people are already starting typing in the comments about the negatives to this controller. I think the positives outweigh the negatives. I will talk about any disadvantages to this in a second of my experience of that, but I do like this controller. It is so lightweight. It weighs less than the old N1 controller. You've got this nice screen built into it, so you're not having to connect your phone or faff around. It was a really good experience. It feels really good in the hand, and it's a really fast kind of setup process. You can turn your drone on, turn this on, it auto connects, and away you go. Okay, let's talk about battery life. Battery life on any drone is really important. We all want more battery life than we get, but battery life on here, let's talk about that. 34 minutes is what it says. It's never going to be 34 minutes. That is in like ideal locations. I have no idea where, but it's literally, I think, where they're going to be flying in windless conditions, just hovering in place. And nobody is ever going to buy a drone and do that, ever. So what I was getting is round about 25 to 28 minutes, depending on how much of an idiot I was flying. So if I'm flying in sports mode, zipping all over the place, it's going to be probably less than that. But for literally average usage, which I'm going to say 4K flying, a little bit of hyperlapse, a little bit of tracking, and the obstacle avoidance turned on, around about 25 minutes. I think that is pretty decent. What I really like though is this. This is a fantastic battery charger. You get this in the Fly More kit, or you can buy it standalone. So you can put 3 batteries into here, they just pop in, and this charges them all in sequence. Once fully charged, move on to the next one and the next one. It takes about an hour to charge each one, but you've always got 3 there. What's great about this is that this is so lightweight. It literally weighs hardly anything. I might even weigh it just to see what this weighs. It is great. It charges via USB-C on the side there. This is awesome. This is great. So battery life overall on this drone is good. You will need to get some more batteries. One battery is never going to be enough, you know? It's never enough. So get some more batteries, or get the Fly More kit if you are lucky enough to find one, or they've been shipped to you. They should be shipped really soon. But yeah, this is ace. This is really good. Now, wouldn't we all like a perfect camera? And unfortunately, it doesn't exist. And that's the same on drones as well. We don't have a perfect drone. This comes close, but it does have some niggles. One of those is it doesn't have an internal fan. So if you're going to be flying this in a really, really hot country, you don't want to be doing things where it's like stationary, because it'll get warm and overheat pretty quick. It relies on movements to keep this cool. It doesn't have a fan inside. So that means when you're at home and it's on your desk and you're updating your firmware, it got really warm and it was overheating a lot when it first came out. It has improved. DJI have literally been like firing out firmware updates like literally every week to get this better, and it has improved. So the overheating issue on here seems to have kind of like gone away, and it just is a lot better. Okay, the RC controller, let's move back to that. So I really do like this controller, but it's had some reports about poor signal performance. This doesn't have any external antennas. They're built into the top of the controller here, which means you've got to have this pointed into the direction of where you're flying a drone. Some people are saying the signal on here isn't very good and it's cutting out after like 200 or 300 meters. Personally, from my experience, I've never had that. I found the signal to be great on here. It has dropped out a few times, like when it's been in an area where there's a load of trees, or when it's close to buildings or behind a building, it will cut out. But I found this to be just as good as the old controller. Not as good as the RC Pro. The RC Pro has the external antennas and it also has that brighter screen. But the RC Pro is like 3 times as much. Overall though, this controller, it is limiting. You can't do much on it apart from fly the drone with it. But I do like this. And I know I'm getting picky now, but the SD card area at the back, it's a bit of a pain, isn't it? So it's really small, just like the Mavic 3, to get that SD card in and out. If you're not careful, it will fling out when you're taking it out. and it doesn't have a cover over the back, which means it's quite exposed. If you get caught out in the rain, it's a worry, isn't it? I'd have liked to have just some kind of like little cover or something over it. Again, it probably comes down to weight saving. I would rather not have a cover and have these other features we've got. So overall though, you know, we've got to remember that this drone has just come out. The controller has just come out. It's had a complete redesign. It's a new drone, isn't it, compared to the Mini 2, and it is great already. It's only going to get better with firmware updates. It's got so many features packed into this small drone, hasn't it? 4K 60 for you slow-mo guys, 1080p 120 if you want even more slow-mo. I know you're going to want hyperlapse and tracking. You've got that. You've got 48 megapixel photos. You've got decent like color in 10 bits. And when you fly like a lunatic, you've got tri-directional obstacle avoidance. That was a mouthful. And that's going to have you back and protect your drone. So it's a huge upgrade over that Mini 2. I think it's a fantastic travel drone or beginner drone. I took this to Mallorca. I didn't really have a fucking clue how to fly this or the experience about it or the features because I only had it a few weeks. Took this to Mallorca, and on the first day I didn't have the fly more kit. So I took like one battery, the drone, and a car charger, and I was just driving around like in some foreign country trying to find places to fly this, and I ended up in the bloody mountains at Sekalobra, on the beaches. It was fantastic. With this drone I got really good results. I could only wish I'd go back with the ND filters. Maybe I should. That might be a good idea, and get some even better footage. But for traveling, this is literally everything you need. It's an awesome travel drone. And it's also got vertical video, which is a huge deal for a lot of people. It now switches from horizontal to vertical. I have never seen this before, and it makes drones like this prehistoric. And if you like reels, just go and buy this. This is the only drone you're going to need, because then you can literally take a vertical video or photo, post it straight to social media with no loss of quality, none of that cropping in, none of that time wasting stuff. It is awesome on here, a great advantage I've found with this. So have I missed anything else bad with this? I really have been struggling to think what is bad with this. And normally after 10 weeks, I've got quite a big list of maybe stuff that can be implemented or changed or issues with this. I've really been struggling when I've been like scripting this up, like what is actually bad with this? So after the last 10 weeks, it's all been pretty positive, and that's only a good thing. So if you've not got this drone, I hope you go and buy it. I hope you love it. I'm sure you will. Let me know in the comments down below. If I've missed anything bad, please do let me know. And I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.